If you've been brainstorming digital product ideas for months, I want to suggest something a little uncomfortable. Stop searching. You probably already know what your first digital product should be. It's the idea that keeps coming back to you. The one you've thought about a few times and then talked yourself out of because it seemed too simple or not quite perfect. Maybe you thought someone else probably already did it. Maybe you thought it wasn't big enough. Or maybe you just weren't completely sure it was the right direction. So you went back to brainstorming, back to researching, back to trying to find a better idea. But the problem for most people isn't the lack of ideas, it's choosing. And in a minute, I'm going to show you a simple rule I'd use if I were choosing my first digital product today. One that makes that decision a lot easier. And if you're over 40, building something on the side and you want practical help turning what you already know into simple digital products and streams of income online, make sure you follow and subscribe because that's exactly what we talk about here every week. All right, there's a pattern I see all the time with people who want to sell their first digital product. They don't struggle with ideas. In fact, most people already have several ideas they could start with, but instead of choosing one and building it, they keep brainstorming, looking for a better niche, a smarter direction, a more perfect idea, and every new possibility resets that decision making. So nothing gets built. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't have anything useful to share, but because choosing one product starts to feel like a bigger decision than it actually is. It starts to feel like you're choosing the direction of your entire business. Like if you pick the wrong idea, you'll waste months of effort. But your first digital product isn't supposed to be your best product. It's supposed to be your first finished product. That's it. Because once something exists, once it's real and out in the world, you start learning what people actually respond to. And that's when things start getting easier. So here's the rule I'd use if I were choosing my first digital product today. Pick the idea you could realistically finish in 2 weeks. Not 2 months, not 6 months, 2 weeks. Because the goal of your first digital product is not perfection, it's proof. It's proof that you can create something useful. Proof that you can turn an idea into something real. And proof that someone might actually buy it. And when you start thinking about your ideas this way, something interesting happens. A lot of the bigger ideas just fall away. Courses usually don't pass the test. Big systems don't pass the test. Huge guides that try to teach everything you know won't pass the test. But smaller ideas do. And those smaller ideas are exactly the ones that tend to get finished. So if you're not sure whether an idea is small enough to be your first product, you can run it through a simple test. The first question is the one problem test. Does the product solve one clear problem? Good first products are very focused. They help someone do one specific thing better. Maybe it helps someone organize something. Maybe it helps them plan something faster. Maybe it helps them make a specific decision, but it solves one clear problem. If your idea tries to solve 5 things, it's too big. The second question is the one-page test. Could you outline the entire product on one page? Not the marketing for it, but the product itself. If your outline starts turning into modules, lessons, or chapters, that's usually your sign that the idea is growing into something bigger than a first product. The best first products are simple enough that you can explain them quickly. Now, the third question is the weekend draft test. Could you create the rough version in a weekend? Wouldn't have to be polished or perfect, just usable. If the idea feels like it would take weeks just to build the first version, it probably needs to be simplified. The fourth question is the already know test. Do you already know how to solve this problem? Your first product should not require you to do months of research. It should come from something you've already figured out, something that helped you solve a problem in your own life or your own job. And finally, the template test. Could this product exist as a simple template that includes a checklist or a worksheet or a short guide? If the answer is yes, you probably have a very good first digital product idea. When people walk through those questions, something interesting usually happens. They realize they already have an idea that fits. And it's usually something small, something practical, and something they've already dismissed because it didn't feel impressive enough. Maybe it's a checklist you use when you're planning something, or maybe it's a worksheet that you created to help yourself think through a decision. Maybe it's a simple process that you followed that solved a problem. Those kinds of ideas often make excellent first digital products because they're useful, they're clear, and they're small enough to actually finish. Your first digital product doesn't need to impress people. It just needs to help someone. At some point, brainstorming stops being productive. It becomes a way to delay choosing. And choosing is the step that actually moves things forward. So instead of brainstorming 10 more ideas, pick the one that already passed the test. The one that solves a clear problem. The one you could outline on one page. The one you could realistically build this week. That's the one you should sell first. Because your first digital product isn't a life decision, it's your starting point. You can always improve it later. None of that happens until the first one exists. So before we go further, think about the idea that came to your mind while we were talking through those tests. The one that solves one clear problem. The one you could explain on one page. The one that's probably simpler than you originally thought. If an idea popped into your head while we were talking, there's a good chance that's the one that's worth starting with. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, okay, I actually do have an idea that fits those tests. Well, the next question is, how do I turn that into a real product without overcomplicating it? Well, that's exactly why I created something called the shortcut to selling your first digital product. Inside the shortcut, I give you the simple template framework that we talked about in this video. It includes the 3 pages that make up a small practical product, your checklist, your worksheet, and your guide. And it comes with a guide that explains how to use them. So instead of starting from scratch, you can open the template and start filling in your own content. I also walk you through the exact steps for turning that idea into a finished digital product and listing it for sale, something many people can realistically do in a single weekend. The goal is simple: help you go from idea to finished product as quickly as possible. So if you're ready to stop brainstorming and finally get your first digital product listed, you'll find the shortcut linked in the description below. Most people spend far more time thinking about their first digital product than it actually takes to build one. But once you finish that first one, everything changes for you. You stop wondering if this could work, and you start learning from real, actual feedback. And you start seeing what people actually respond to. So if there's an idea that's been quietly sitting in the back of your mind, the one that seems simple, the one that solves a clear problem, that might be the one worth building first. Now, if you found this helpful, make sure you follow and subscribe for more videos about creating simple digital products and turning what you already know into streams of income online. And if you're ready to build your first product, check out the shortcut in the description below. It'll walk you through the process step by step. Here's to your success, and I'll see you next week.